Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. All right, so these are the first few seconds of our live stream of episode 120 of Podcast PD. And we're going to get the show started. If you're joining us via the chat, let us know where you're from, all that good stuff. And we will get started in just a couple of seconds here as we get the show notes showing. Take this moment to share the show on Twitter. Let's get some people in here as we talk about professional development. Randall Black, old podcast friend, checking us out on Facebook. Good to see you, Randy. All right. So we know Facebook is working. That's a plus.
Yeah, I just got a notification. You're live.
Yo, live. I'm live. You're live.
Nope, you're live. Christopher J. Nessie is now live streaming.
Yes. Streaming live.
Live.
Let's do it live.
Live. F it. That's how it goes.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Nope.
No?
Nope, you're not.
Dave Frangiosa checking in on the YouTube.
David.
Right.
Hola.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna start this up.
Do it.
Coming up on episode 120 of Podcast PD, AJ and I talk about planning professional development during the summer. Let's start the show. This is Podcast PD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco and me, Chris Nessie. Let's start the show. You know what that fun-filled music means, AJ? That means it's time for, well, the show, Podcast PD.
The show.
The show.
It's a little louder
My
than
name
usual
is
today.
Yeah, a little bit. My name is Chris Nessie, at Mr. Nessie on Twitter, and I am joined, as always, for the, is it the 120th consecutive time?
No, I've missed a couple.
Cal Ripken, you are not.
I am not a Cal Ripken. I'm load management. Load management for Mr. Bianco here.
Well, everybody, I'm excited to be joining you for my 120th consecutive episode.
Look, I got to be honest. Without you, it wouldn't work. So obviously you're 120 because I ain't admitting it.
Now, you know what's weird?
I have no control over this.
No, this is my secondary podcast, and I've been here for all of these, yet I've not hosted episodes of my own show.
That's true. That's true. I remember that.
Yeah. So this is Podcast PD. I'm joined by my Podcast PD compadre. What I read on your envelope this week?
Oh, man, I forgot what it was. Hold on.
Check iMessage.
I'm checking real quick.
Because you yelled at me.
I did yell at you. Oh my!
And
goodness.
I'm going to yell at you for a second.
I know you are. I couldn't help it. I had a game tonight, and it was a last minute thing. We didn't get home. Then I had to do dinner. It's my fault. I'll do it next time. Let's see. You wrote to me. Where is it? We have a lot of text messages together, Christopher.
We have a textual relationship.
Angelo Julio
Bianco got mail this week. And even though you're not wearing it, Angelo, what did you get in the mail?
Oh, I don't want to spoil it now. Can we wait?
Oh,
all right.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
I got a wonderful Podcast PD shirt. A new design, the redesign.
Yes.
For Mr. Nessie.
Yes.
Angelo received a beautiful navy blue Podcast PD shirt.
Yes. Holly, our
EP,
she got hers in the mail. She got some new swag. I believe she got the pink one.
Angelo. The name is not, if anybody, it's not, my name is not Angelo. I'm not. AJ does not stand for Angelo. I don't know if we've ever disclosed what it really stands for. Well, one day when I'm feeling it, we can share what the AJ stands for.
But for tonight, I am joined by the incomparable Angelo Julio Bianco.
My goodness. My goodness.
So
here we are.
I was going to talk about the weather, but I'm not. I think it's important that we get to the meat and potatoes here on a summer Sunday. So,
almost.
Almost. Well, hey, the weather was nice today. I got
Beautiful.
a little red up here today. I did not wear a hat. I was outside building the shed of EdTech on the side of my house.
Here we go.
Thank you, Mel. Yes, new name each episode. Keeps it fresh.
That's it.
That's what we
There
do
you
here
go.
on Podcast PD.
Keep it
No
fresh.
stale.
Nope.
No stale. No repeats.
Nothing stale.
All
Nothing
new
stale.
all the time. Although the other day you mentioned, only because Mel mentions that, we're not going to be doing a live show on Memorial Day weekend, and you said, "Oh, can we just throw something out again?"
Yeah, that would be fresh.
That would not
that
be
would
fresh.
Not be fresh.
That would be recycled.
So might as well go with that one. We will not be recording Memorial Day weekend. We'll come at you June the 5th.
June
Live.
the 5th.
June
What
the
are you
5th.
talking about? I thought it was
What?
June 8th. Oh, June comes out on
No,
the 8th, right?
Come out live June 5th.
Right.
All right, we are all over the place. Let's get focused here. Let's make this thing a reality.
AJ, the administrator, focus us.
Okay, so here we are. We are focusing our summer PD because I think next couple episodes, Chris and I are going to talk about what we got planned for our summer as the year comes to an end here in New Jersey. Many of you may be ending the year now, so good luck to you as you come to the close. But we are going to talk about our summer PD. But before we get to that, I think we have to acknowledge what's going on in the world around us. So as Chris and I sit here and focus on professional development for educators, there were some horrible incidents that took place across the country this Sunday, May the 15th. Two horrible shootings that took place. And we want to tackle this because it was brought to our attention that really, honestly, we should. And when we think about our job as educators and as podcasters who are reaching out to educators, it's very important that we kind of keep in mind our job as educators, right? Our job is not content. Our job is not anything more than developing students into human beings. We talk about the whole child approach, and we can't do our job as educators without impacting an entire child. So as educators, as we acknowledge what's going on around us, the hateful people that are near and far, our job, people out there, is to make sure that we understand that our students are being fed one thing and then faking it to us another day. So we need to make sure that we're putting our students in a situation where, we are teaching them right from wrong because other people are not doing that for them. Don't care what side of politics you are on. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me truly is that our students leave our school as good people who understand right and wrong, who understand the people in their classroom with them are just like them, whether they look different, have a different name, whatever the case may be. We are all one people living together, and we need to live more harmoniously together because we're not doing that right now. And this is not a political statement. This is just simply a world statement of, can we please just come together and stop murdering people who are different than us? I don't appreciate it. And I don't think other educators appreciate it because it gives us a bad name. As it was brought to our attention, we have politicians out there who are feeding information, and that's being taken as truth, even though it might not be. It is changing our students' perspective of the world around us, and that can't be anymore. So educators, it's time to rise up and stop listening to the people around you saying that we're doing the wrong thing in school and we are, quote unquote, indoctrinating our students. Well, Chris and I are here today to help you indoctrinate your students to make them good people. So if you're going to do anything to them, make them good people. Make them understand that everybody around them is just like they are. That the color of their skin, their heritage, their background, their sexual orientation, whatever the case may be, we are all one people living together in this world.
And the sooner more people realize that, certainly the better off we're going to be. And AJ, what you were talking about reminds me of so many conversations I've had in my social studies classroom, and I'm sure you had similar ones when you were in the classroom, where, kids are not dumb. If we ask kids how we can solve the world's problems, a high school classroom in any town USA can come up with viable solutions to solve this country's problems, their community's problems, and yet we still have these problems, right? Mm-hmm. So I wholeheartedly agree with you that, if we're going to indoctrinate kids, right, or if we're being accused of that, and we're actually going to do it, let's indoctrinate this country's youth to be good people, to respect themselves first, respect those people that they encounter each and every day in their community and beyond. And I don't know what much more we can say other than that's what we try and do. You know, like in my classroom, I focus on the 4 C's, not because I want them to be great at social studies, but because if you can do those 4 things, you're going to be successful at whatever you set your heart on at some point in your life. Mm-hmm. And below, or what I don't talk about, is my classroom is a place that is built on respect for others, that my classroom is a safe place where ideas can be shared and points of view can be expressed. It's not a place or a classroom where you must agree with me. Never has been, never will be. That's all I got.
And it doesn't have to be that you're there. You're not there to have agreements. You're there to just kind of open the eyes of our students. You know, that's the job of educators. Open the kids' eyes. Let them see what's going on around you. Have them help out and understand, you know, the world and their place in the world and what they can do, you know, as they move through it. We focus on DEI initiatives, and the pushback on these initiatives is one thing. That's definitely an episode for another day. But, you know, if we're not doing our job putting them out in the world as good people, then we're not doing our job at all. Forget the content, everybody. So we've been trying to tell you now for 119 episodes. Forget the content. It's about the kids.
Yeah. And the sooner people realize that, the better off we're going to be. Something else I've started telling students is, you know, you might not, and I tell, you know, this is something I started to express to people, is you're not going to change the whole world, right? We're not going to sit here doing this episode. We're not going to change all of education. Would it be nice? Would it be great if every educator listened to us? Sure. Why not? But we're not going to change the whole world. Let's just work. And I'm talking to you as well. Mm-hmm. Change the piece of the world that you live in and encourage other people to, again, like we're saying, do good in your piece of the world that you take up.
Well said. Well said.
Do good. I half paraphrased that from Mr. Feeney.
It's okay. Kids don't know who that is anymore.
A lot more kids know than you know.
Really?
No. Yeah. No. He is who I aspire to be, Mr. Feeney.
There you go. I like it. I like it. All right. So as we move forward with this episode, we are recognizing the summer professional development, and we bring up the topic that we just, you know, introduced in the show, just because, you know, if your summer PD is not focused somewhere on helping your kids become better people, you know, see if you can find that. See if you can read up on, you know, DEI initiatives and ways you can interact with students in the classroom. If you're not comfortable based on background, or if you're not comfortable based on gender, sexuality, you know, disabilities, that might be a place you want to start. You know, if you want to understand how to talk to elementary kids about this, there are plenty of graphic novels and other books around that you can pick up. I can get you a list if you are interested. Same thing with the middle school. But I think it takes us to really make that change. So make that part of your summer PD if it's not already there for you.
Now, AJ, as we shift gears into this summer learning episode, right? Mm-hmm. We'll talk about what we're doing, what other people could be doing. And certainly, if you are watching us live, feel free to hop in. Again, share your thoughts in the chat. But if you want to come on with us and talk about what you're doing this summer, or opportunities that you're aware of this summer for professional development here in what's going to be the summer of 2022, go to podcastpd.com/join, and we'll be happy to let you come on in and share. Now, AJ.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay, is it acceptable for a teacher to pursue no professional development over the summer?
I wouldn't say to pursue no professional development. Like, I understand the summer is a time to relax and rejuvenate and kind of come back to like your roots and ground yourself. But I think there is, you know, a small chance, a small window where you can take the time to, you know, dive into that PD, whether it is a couple of articles, whether it's a Twitter chat, you know, something that kind of sparks your interest for being back in the classroom I think is quite important because it kind of puts you in that mindset of it's time to make a difference. And I know you would agree with me because I feel like, you're going to keep doing this. So.
Right. Again, I mean, this is a form of professional development, these professional conversations that we have. But I'll be honest, my PD this summer, I look to see what conferences are out there, whether they were virtual. We're here in New Jersey. I imagine you got the email for Teach Meet New Jersey in August that's going to be taking place. Or you didn't?
I did not get that. No, I did not.
I got the email for Teach Meet New Jersey, but I looked at the date and I was like, oh, okay, it's in person. That could be exciting, getting back to, that type of professional development. And I looked, and it's a date when I'm going to be away in August. So I can't attend. And that's always a great event. Maybe there's Teach Meets where you are. I'm talking to you, the listener. Teach Meet is like the speed dating of professional development. So certainly that's something to consider. I looked around to see if there were any relevant ed camps happening in the summer. I'm not aware of anything that you and I could easily get to or that I could get to. One thing that has been a habit for me each summer happens in August, and that is the Hive Summit from Mike Matera. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, AJ. It's all online.
Yeah.
It's all at your own pace. It becomes available. You can attend the different sessions.
Yeah, I actually did that one a couple of years back. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I was doing that one. I think Mike does a good job with the Hive Summit. I know he gets some great people to help him out, to run some sessions. He does some himself, but I remember a couple of years ago it was him. He had a session. Dave Burgess had a session. Matt Miller had a session. And like, it's the names, especially it's very techie. Like if you want to, the Tech Rabbi was on there. If you want to get techie with it, I think he's the guy for that with that summit. It's a nice conversation about different tools that you can use in the classroom. I don't know the direction this year. For me, as I kind of go off on a tangent here, for me, those kind of things aren't really going to work well because I'm in the office during the summer. And like for me, July is strictly scheduling, right? So I'm going to take all of July. I'm going to make the schedule for the kids as they come up. And for me, what I'm going to do is part of this because the scheduling is so much part of my job. There's an awesome book out there from AMLE, the Association for Middle Level Educators. There's a book out there about middle school scheduling. So I'm trying to get my hands on the book because I'd like to read that and kind of see the components that they have in there that I can then bring into my school to really create a successful and meaningful schedule for our students. Like obviously we have our schedule in place. We know what our classes are, but maybe that book will tell me a little bit more about how I should be scheduling students. Is there a specific way to look at, language arts versus math, beginning of the day, end of the day? I need to learn because, spoiler, if any of my teachers are listening, we're looking to possibly change the schedule one day. I would love to do a rotating block. The add drop kind of. I know you don't like that. I've lived in that for so many years. I think that'd be a great schedule. Our high school does it, so I don't see why it wouldn't be great to kind of have that as part of our schedule, so they get used to it when they go to high school. That add drop schedule, I think, is fantastic. We already have a weird schedule. Weird schedule. Our fifth grade has different times for classes. We have 3 teams of fifth grade, and 2 teams have one. The other team has a different one. And then throughout the day, we have different classes it's just weird. So I'm looking for ideas. So part of my PD this summer is to read the book about middle school scheduling.
Well, let me ask you that because
Sure.
This is certainly a part of education that I haven't gotten my hands into with scheduling. That's always been literally above my pay grade. But when you say you're looking to change up the schedule, like you mentioned, like, language arts, for example, like, when should kids be taking that?
Yeah.
Well, if you or an administrator gets professional development that says, hey, it's great for kids to take language arts, before lunch and in the morning time, right? Let's just say, throwing it out there.
Right.
Not every kid can take language arts before lunch, right? Your language arts, so part of me questions how you can do that on the broad scale for an entire school of students, if you or other people are getting PD on how to better schedule kids? You know, what's really feasible?
It's a wonderful question, and I don't have the answer to that right now, right? Because the way our schedule breaks down, based on our lunch periods, we have 4 different lunch periods, right? So some of our grade levels will have a cycle and then 2 classes, then lunch. Some of them will have a cycle, 3 classes, then lunch, 4 classes. Like I said, the timing is different. So everything kind of is off. So I think for one of our grade levels, they can actually get 4 classes in the morning. So that would be all of our language arts classes if we really wanted that way. But that's a really difficult task. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how to set it up. I don't know how to make sure our kids can kind of meet those demands. But again, maybe the successful middle school schedule that I was just speaking of from AMLE, and the author is Anne McCarty Perez. So check it out. Maybe I'll have an answer for you the next episode.
Okay.
Sorry, I wish I had more, but I really want to dig into a schedule a little bit deeper before I start just kind of throwing things out there.
And actually, real quick, I want to go back to, so I mentioned Hive Summit is something that happens in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that it was a lot of techie stuff. It's really not. I mean,
Good.
Tech makes it happen. So just let me give you the sessions I did last year. So I have these in a little folder. So there was one on rethinking grading. Hello, Dave Franjosa.
Is Dave
There was
leading
one
it?
on. Oh no, he wasn't leading it. But anything I think I see with grading, I think Dave. Relationships and rigor. There was one on student engagement.
Okay.
One on again, my abbreviation in my file name might be a little different, but liberating creativity. We have building meaningful relationships with our students, which I went through that video twice, coming back into the building after so much time away, knowing that I was going to have, a lot of kids. Here we go. Shifting districts with playful professional development. There was one tech tips and tricks, easy for me to not say. Mm-hmm. There was one on Genius Hour and Creative Time, leadership and learning. So a lot of good stuff. So again, I can't recommend Hive Summit enough because it's at your own pace. It's, PD in your pajamas in August. Now I know some of our listenership might be back in school at that point, but at least, you and me in August, we're not. So we do have that time there in the month of August.
But it's on demand too, so they can kind of go through
for a period of time.
At night.
Right. It's not indefinitely available.
Right. But I think for the first week it stays up there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what I remember it when I did it.
Okay.
Words seem a little hard today. I don't know what's going on.
Words are tough.
A lot of stammering.
In the chat, executive producer Stephanie says the high school that she attended had reverse days. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we follow our schedule in reverse. 4 was first period, 3 lunch, 2. Oh, okay.
All right. Interesting. Okay.
And then she went on to say that it drove her crazy as a student. I got to tell you, so my whole drop block distaste and throwing up in my mouth comes from a conversation with my dad, right? His high school a couple of years ago went to the, I think it's A through G days.
Oh, that's a lot of days.
There's a lot of days. And it was all, how can we increase student learning time? So my dad, being a math teacher, did the math on it and changing the schedule from they went from like just 8 periods a day, you had the class every day, straight through the year, to this drop block. It increased student learning in each class for the year 13 minutes of additional instructional time.
Ooh, man, that's it right there.
That's not 13 minutes a day. Yep. That's 13 minutes per class spread out over 180 days.
That's outstanding.
So that's an additional few seconds per day in each class.
Yeah, I get you.
What are we doing? How is that good for kids? How is that good for adults? Sorry, I'm stepping all over your goals of scheduling.
No, that's cool, man.
I would just do an A day, B day.
That's what we have now.
Do your students take, say, social studies half the year and science half the year? Or they?
No.
Okay.
No. The
I
only
mean, there's all
thing,
different ways, not to get too much into the weeds
Right.
on your PD.
no, that's okay. The only thing that my students have is they have quarter cycles, and
Like
so-
their elective, like
yes,
little fun classes.
electives. We call them cycles because they're not really electives because you have to take them. They have quarter cycles, and they have Spanish every other day until you get to 8th grade where you're Spanish or language every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Math every day?
Math every day. They have their core classes every day. Math, English, social studies, science every single day. Every other day, Spanish. We have a daily. I'm trying to figure out how to. It's kind of like a study hall period. We don't call it a study hall period. They kind of meet with their homeroom teachers, and it's called extended learning. And they have the opportunity to meet with their homeroom teachers or bounce around to their other teachers on their team. So
When in the day is that for them?
It depends on the grade level. Sometimes for one grade it's the end of the day. For one grade it's right after lunch. It depends on the grade level.
See, this sounds like in my school, which is a 9 through 12 high school, our first block class of the day, 80-minute block, has an additional 20 minutes that we call advisory. So it's more like homeroom.
Yeah.
We used to do announcements. Now you want to go listen to the Zebra Morning Show. Small plug there.
Of course you do.
Of course, I look at it and I'm like, man, if we got rid of that 20 minutes, could shorten the day by 20 minutes.
That's too much right there.
Too much.
Too
Can't
much.
have kids out and about.
Nope.
I guess. I don't know.
Nope. All right, so go on. So what else is what's there on your summer PD list, Mr. Nessie?
Well, I would say, me personally, or what I think other people should do.
Let's talk about other people before we get to our personal stuff.
Other people. I would look for ed camps. I would look for virtual summits. You know, again, depending on where you are in the world, you know, obviously take health and safety into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're not 100% back, but,
Right.
you know, you do what you feel comfortable doing, of course. Certainly, I would make use of Twitter, not necessarily for the Twitter chat, which I kind of crapped on the other day. I'll talk about that if you want to.
You sure did.
But consider throwing the question out on Twitter about, you know, books that are relevant to the topics you're interested in learning more about. You know, whatever, if it's to your content area, if it's related to instructional strategies, if it's related to diversity, equity, inclusion. All right, there are a lot of topics out there that are being, I don't want to say stressed because people might take it the wrong way, that have the light shown on them.
Mm-hmm.
So there are these topics that are becoming more important, and, you know, certainly ask around. You know, use your, you know, maybe it's putting the question on LinkedIn, throwing a tweet out, going on Instagram, right? Seeing what people are reading or what are they watching. You know, don't feel.
Dave Franjosa. Nessie is recommending people read.
Yes, I am.
So I guess for Dave, it's Chris doesn't like to read. He promotes everybody else to go out there and read.
I listen. So the one depressing
I will
part
ask
about
your
summer.
wife that. Sorry.
That's
Go ahead.
okay.
You
Thanks,
listen.
Dave.
Yes, you are a listener.
Guess he wasn't here when I shouted out that I think of him whenever I think of grading, but whatever.
He probably was.
You probably will. Anyway. No, Mel, I do not read.
He does not read. Not even an email.
No, I read email. I mean, no, I people send me books. I will look through your book. We're gonna have some authors on
We
next episode. So
we do.
it is a
So we
book
gotta
that I
look for
got that I did peruse.
Ooh.
All right, so
There you
we'll talk
go.
about that at the end of the show. But
let's
reading
go-
is not my first go-to for content consumption
There you go.
because I learned I'm more of an auditory learner.
You are. Everybody's got their own style, right? I don't know what I am. I'm lazy, so I just do whatever I can.
He's lazy.
I'm a lazy learner. Chris, let's go back, right? So you mentioned a lot of virtual. I think these virtual. I'm gonna call them summits for right now. I think these virtual summits are like really have a good place in education. I don't know if it's just me, but every time I sign up for like Ed Week, right? Education Week sends out all these different. Here's a course you might be interested in, and if you don't, if you sign up, we'll send you the recording, I'm like, psh, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
So every time I see something I'm interested in, I sign up for these courses, and they send me an email the next day or two afterwards, and then I'll go back and I'll watch those. I'm going to count that as my PD because I still get a certificate.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look, if you get these emails that seem too good to be true, sign up for these courses, these free online courses from all these different companies. See what's in there. You know, I know for myself, I do have personal PD goals this year, but look, for you out there, find these companies, Edutopia, EdWeek, Panorama. You know, if you're into the PBIS, like PBS rewards, go to these different companies' websites, take a look, see what they're offering, see what trainings they have, sign up for them if you're interested in them. If you do something over the summer, you're just going to enjoy the summer day at night. You go home, you get that email, you watch it. You know, take advantage of these virtual learnings because they really haven't been there before, and they're really, really, really important.
And to go along with that piece of it, you know, maybe summer is the time where, now, again, I personally don't jump on these things, but, you know, if you want to go get Google certified, summer's a great time to learn more about Google or Newsela or Flipgrid. You know, pick your tech tool of choice maybe and, you know, go a little deeper into the weeds on a particular tool. And really, not only are you going to elevate your own instructional practice, but then you've got the knowledge to turnkey it. And maybe you can help somebody else in your school or your department, your grade level, etc., and help somebody else who maybe didn't see that opportunity. You know, I think professional development, and I'm going to borrow from the great musical Hello, Dolly. So anybody who's into musical theater will be able to follow me. AJ, you're lost.
I'm lost already.
Just hang on. Professional development, pardon the expression, is like manure. It's not worth anything unless you don't spread it around.
That's good.
That is
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you, Dolly Levi.
There you go. Don't know who that is, but thanks, Dolly.
Barbara Streisand played her in the movie.
I get it. I'm just kidding. I'm just not interested in it. But look, let's be serious here, right? So we all want summer to be the time of relaxation, rejuvenation. We say to ourselves, I want nothing to do with my classroom or my school for the entire summer. But you know what? Everybody then goes back to school in September or August or whenever you are going back to school. And then we complain like, oh, this professional development I have to sit through is the worst.
But it is.
But and I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. And I know I'm going to be guilty of something at this point of next year where I'm
leading
going to lead some crap PD, whether it's on my own or district mandated, right? But if it's up to you to find professional development that interests you, find it. Say to your leader, hey, leader, I found this wonderful book, or I found this great webinar, whatever the case may be. Send it to your leader who has no time over the summer, allegedly. And then you can say to them, I would be happy to, as Chris just said, turnkey this so that we have something we can learn. I think this is great for the classroom because, keep in mind, people, your leaders don't get in classrooms much, so they don't know really what's going on in those classrooms.
What?
You do. You do. And if you have a good leader in your building, or as Dave likes to say, the administration, he doesn't like when I say leader. He likes the administration. So you have a good administrator, and he knows I hate that word.
I'm with you, Dave.
The administrator in your building should be able to respect your opinion and your knowledge and should let you turnkey that. Because that is what makes professional development fun. We had Rich Chiz on here a couple weeks ago. His ideas for using PD in the schools. Maybe that's part of your PD if you are looking for that route as becoming the administrator or team leader, or whatever the case may be. You have some power. You do. And again, if you make the strong relationships with your administration that you can tell them in advance that you're interested in helping with PD, I'm sure they'll take you up on that because it's not easy for us as administrators. It is not easy for us to think of everything you need, right? Some of it is mandated by the district, so deal with that, right? Some of the other stuff, though, is like, what can we do now with our teachers? Give the ideas. What are you learning that you can use for your own advantage, for your team's own advantage, for your school's own advantage, that you can bring to the administration and say, hey, this is what we need for our school. This will help you. And then they'll have to brush up on it too, because it's everybody against them. They don't want to look stupid.
Boom.
Boom.
No, that's good stuff.
Fine.
AJ, I have a question for you about professional development.
Sure.
As an administrator, as a leader.
It's fine. Just say it. It's fine.
As an administrator, this year was your first full year in the school, the whole thing, right? The whole 9 yards.
Yes.
Right? Challenging.
So good though.
Did you get a lot of PD opportunities?
No.
For you? Okay. All right.
No, I did not. I had the opportunity to find the PD I needed.
Sure.
So, you know what? Let me rewind for a second. When we look at PD, we're sitting here talking about books and podcasts and virtual webinars and all that stuff. The PD that I had that I found helpful was every Wednesday we had an administrative council. That was a meeting, but for me it was PD because I was learning, right?
Okay.
Every Thursday we had a middle school administrators meeting. That was PD because I was learning. You know, I give it up to my principal and I question this to him every time. Every meeting we have, every opportunity that comes up, I sit there and I was like, Ryan, am I the only, should I not be here? Because I'm the only assistant principal. And he goes, no, I want you here. You need to learn. It's my PD, right? So while I'm not getting the PD that we're thinking of these conferences, I'm getting PD every 2-3 times a week where I'm jumping into these important meetings that's allowing me to have the knowledge of what's going on around me. He doesn't want me to be left in the dark. Anything that happens in our school, he wants me to be aware of, right?
No, that's great.
Right, and I appreciate it greatly. So I look at that as my PD. Now, on the flip side, have I been told to go somewhere? No, I have not had that. I've signed up for webinars. You know, I do the PD, the podcasts, and all that kind of stuff. That's on me, and I share that out. I share that out. But I have not gone to PD. As you know, Chris, in New Jersey, we have the NJPSA, that Principal and Supervisors Association. It's supposed to be a big thing.
I might even be in it one day, but go ahead.
Maybe you will. I hope you are, and we'll get you there. But, they send out weekly emails. Here's the upcoming PD. And a lot of it is school law, and a lot of it is stuff that there's a cost to that. So it's very hard to just sign up for it because I have to go through all the process of signing up, getting the PO. So I haven't done that. That opportunity is always there for me as part of the NJPSA. I just have not taken advantage of it to my extent. But everything's been virtual. And I wish I had, but it's expensive. I don't like asking for money.
So would it necessarily come out of your pocket, or you have to again go through the channels, see if they'll pay for it, the whole thing?
I'd have to go through. I'm sure they would. I have a PD allowance personally.
Right.
As an administrator in the district, I have an allowance of what I can get. I might take advantage of that in the coming year as more things open up and I feel more comfortable, and maybe see about a conference in New Jersey.
Is it easier for you if you find the right opportunity to do something over the summer? Or are you super admin scheduling busy?
Yeah, I don't like taking the days off in July. July to me is strictly scheduling. So that's what we did last year. All July was scheduling, make sure it was right. Because August, we get busy with open house and orientation.
Actually, hold on. Let me interrupt. When
ahead.
you say scheduling,
Yeah.
whose schedule are you directly have your hands in on?
So last year I was working on 2 grade levels, and the principal was working on the other 2 grade levels.
Are you doing teacher schedules or student schedules?
Our teachers basically know their schedule. We if we're moving teachers, they'll be notified. Right?
Okay.
We are doing student schedules, so we have 600 schedules to do, and we did it on a whiteboard first, and then input it into our SIS. Yeah, whiteboard first. I know.
There's no middle school guidance department that does the scheduling?
Our middle school guidance department helps us with scheduling if we need to, but they have a limited amount of days. They don't work full year.
Okay.
So we ask them for those days for certain things. For example, orientation, open house, when the 5th graders come in, we want them there. Right. So they have a certain amount of days. We do that. Sometimes we'll ask them to come in and help us with some scheduling if there's a conflict, or if there's some things that we need help with. But really, the scheduling is on us because we have
You
time.
and you and your principal.
Me and the principal, yes. Yeah. So he'll take 2 grade levels. I'll take 2 grade levels. And we did a good job last year.
Wow.
Then we had a schedule done in 3 weeks for
Wow.
600 kids.
Wow.
I pat myself on the back for that because
All
it
right,
was
so
my
it's the
first
third
time.
week of July. Then what do you do for the next 5 weeks?
Oh no, then we have to like I said, then we have to input it. Then we have to make sure that we have everything set up. We want July to be done. We want July 1st to July 31st. Is that a thing?
30 days has September, April, June. I know. Yeah.
Okay, so 31st. So we want to make sure throughout those 31 days that schedule is in place so that in August, if there's anything that we have to change with discrepancies or special ed requests or new students popping in, that we can do that. Because I'll be honest, in August we start taking days. In August we have the open house, we have orientation. So we want to make sure we're in a good place for September 1.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I do not have to make a schedule.
Good for you.
I would just take the summer and go back to school and wonder why
Right.
the schedule is what it is.
Right. I mean, it's not a difficult thing, I'll be honest with you, but it is difficult in the sense of we want to keep classes to a reasonable size. We want to make sure the kids are taking the appropriate classes, whether they're taking, advanced math. We have to look at that data and figure out, does this kid belong there? Do we have the right amount of special ed classrooms? Are our resource classrooms in the right spaces? So there is some figuring that we have to do.
Right.
So again, goes to why I want to read that book on scheduling.
Nice. Mel asked in the chat, your kids don't start until September in the great state of New Jersey? No.
Nope.
They do not start until September. We go September
we
to June.
end in June.
When's
Late
your last
June.
day of school?
June 23rd.
June 20. That's a Thursday.
Yes.
My last day of school is Tuesday, June 21st.
Okay.
And the students' last day would have been Monday the 20th, but I don't know if you think of the year we've had. Remember we had all that bad weather in September?
I do. I remember that.
So
Yeah,
we
they
delayed
had
the start for students by a day.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
Hey, can I share my big news?
Big news. Do it.
Big news. So, for those who are unfamiliar, I moonlight in my district as a public address announcer. I am the voice of the athletic department, and basically any time they need to stick a microphone in front of somebody and have it sound good, they stick the microphone in front of me. So I got an email from the 12th grade vice principal asking if I would accept the honor of being the announcer at graduation this year. So, big time.
I want to hear a preview
A preview of what?
of what you're going to say.
Okay.
Well, welcome us to the graduation.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. On behalf of fill in the name of the school district here, welcome to the 2022 commencement ceremony as we honor the graduating class of 2022. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise and remove your hats for the presentation of colors from the JROTC?
You memorize that?
No, I just did it off the top of my head.
That's pretty good, man. You better go back to this recording and use that.
I'm pretty good at just making stuff sound really official.
Yeah, I can't do that. We've already learned that I'll be stammering over things. So,
And I'm hoping to also do some of the names of the graduates in addition to introducing the speakers and superintendent and all that good stuff.
oh yeah,
So I'll
good for you. I can't wait.
cap and gown, and I might even wear a shirt and tie.
Dun dun dun.
But we all know you can wear a polo shirt under a graduation gown.
Nobody knows the difference.
Nobody knows the difference.
All right, Chris, before we start saying goodbye, what are some PD goals for you this summer? Do you have anything on your list that you really want to, that you're dying to tackle that the year just kind of put on the back burner for you?
As I think about, throughout the school year, I reflect on the different things that I do in the classroom. So part of my routine is during the summer, I go back and I look at the different projects and assignments and how I did things, and I'll take a look at rubrics and kind of reflect on the student experiences based on their feedback throughout the year. So I will look to basically freshen up the course that I teach which is world history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's safe to assume that I will continue to teach world history. So I'll look to keep the course fresh. Now, next year's 9th grade students, they won't know that it's been refreshed, but it'll be refreshed from me, which keeps me on my toes as the teacher, so it doesn't get stale and it's not like I'm just going through the motion. So I keep it fresh for myself. So certainly I'll go and, re-explore the curriculum and the different themes and the units and, just basically it's a lot of reflection.
Good. No, there's a podcast out there for reflecting.
There is. What is that called?
I don't know.
Reflect Ed.
Oh, right, that one. No, I think that reflection is really important because, again, you asked the question at the top of the show, is it necessary to have summer PD? And the answer, when it comes down to it, is yes, because even that reflection alone is outstanding professional development because you're looking at yourself as Principal Kafele says, look yourself in the mirror, figure out who you are and what you're going to do, what's looking back at you. So over the summer, think about your class. Think about the things you have brought to the forefront. And are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of the things you did? This year, this thing I know was a bad year. It was tough, right? I'm sure it was difficult. I'm sure you didn't make the relationships you wanted to make. I'm sure there were things there you didn't get to do. But it's time now to reflect on that and kind of figure out the wins that you had for the year. Because the whole year couldn't have been bad. It couldn't have been. There had to be moments where you really enjoyed being a teacher.
Yeah.
So,
no, and I know in what you just said, you're talking to the listener.
Talking to everybody.
Right. But I as I even now, being reflective on the year with, 5 weeks left to go for us,
mm-hmm.
You mentioned relationships. I don't know, honestly, if I've had never, I don't know that I've never, hold on, how do I want to say this? This was a good year, a really good year for me with the relationships and the rapport I built with my students. Now, would I have liked personally to have done a little bit more SEL with them? For sure. But, I wasn't afforded that time and opportunity. I think part of what helped me personally was having Quinn, the student teacher, in the fall, because helping him and guiding him to build relationships and showing the importance of that, makes me amp up my game. Right. So, I've got a good rapport with my kids. A lot of high school teachers might say, oh, I've got that one class that, and I have my 6 classes, and quite frankly, I don't mind spending time with any of them.
That's good.
They're all 6 good classes, good groups of kids. Sure, every class has a couple knuckleheads, but, even those kids, they're still a joy to talk to and speak with and, still try to encourage,
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good.
We got podcast recommendation. Oh, sorry. My bad.
What's up?
You asked me a question. Answer the question for yourself.
What are my summer PD goals?
Yes. AJ, what are your summer PD goals besides reading the book about scheduling?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I put a lot in my basket throughout the year. So this summer, I want to keep kind of learning and growing as a school leader. I've mentioned this a number of times, whether it's here or on Reflect Ed. For me, the upcoming year, I'm going to really focus on PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Supports, in case you don't know what that is. So I'm looking at ways to try to implement PBIS into our school. Me and our PBIS team are going to start working together, more closely, because there are things that we have to do to really make this school a place, as my goal is, a place where kids want to go, not a place where kids have to go.
Now, I got to say, so, I remember you've mentioned PBIS a number of times, and maybe we have to have a conversation not on the air first, but I've seen a negative light being shined on PBIS in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Because you know what? I think it's also misunderstood, right?
Okay.
So many people think of PBIS and they go, right, hey, PBIS and restorative justice. It's not the same. It's 2 separate things, right? PBIS is one thing. Restorative justice and restorative practices is something completely different. PBIS is the outlook of the school and how you want your school to be represented, right? That's what PBIS is.
Okay.
The restorative practice piece is how do you deal with students who are just having trouble in our school and you don't want to find ways to suspend them or give them detention. You find the restorative practice piece to help them, better understand the mistakes that they had made and the choices that they made, right?
Gotcha.
So with PBIS, PBIS is your school culture and climate.
Okay.
And I think that's really what people need to focus on. It's how you make the school one, right? We continue to say that every classroom, the expectations for every teacher are completely different. Lessons can be different. That's fine. You're going to teach your way, Chris. I'm going to teach my way in my classroom. With PBIS, though, it now is like, here are the expectations for every single class. When I walk into Mr. Bianco's class, I know these are the rules because they're the same rules as Mr. Nessie's class, and they're the same rules as Mr. Cavey's class, as he's putting up in the chat here, as I'm seeing this in the corner of my eye.
Yes.
Like, we need for PBIS is school culture and climate expectations for everybody. And the things that kids do and do it well, they're recognized. It'll bring up the kids who are known as you mentioned before, those quote unquote problem kids. It helps them to get recognized as good kids. It's our whole child approach to learning. It's working together in a community to be one. That's where this comes in.
Gotcha. And I do want to acknowledge Tim from Teachers on Fire.
Absolutely.
Says here, most of the PBIS complaining comes from people who have seen heavy emphasis on bribery, points tracking, trinkets as incentives, etc. Then goes on to say that cheapens the whole thing. Tim likes P for positive in PBIS. And also goes on to say, instead of focusing on prohibitions, we focus on building positive norms and expectations, which is what you just mentioned.
There you go.
And he asked the question that would be asked of PBIS or not, what kind of community do we want to be as a school? There you go.
Right. And look, it's going to be, and we'll talk about this, Chris, next year as I get into it. This is a big initiative for me and our team. We'll talk about it next year and really kind of get the background of it and how it's going. But, that last piece that Tim there, and that's what I was trying to really push. What kind of community do you want to be? And it really makes the kids feel like a school is a school where everybody is welcome. The kid, it's not about the points, not about bribery. Yes, obviously you welcome these kids who are doing good things and you give them some kind of reward, but it's not for those high achievers, right? We really want to push up those kids who are not recognized as good kids. They're recognized as those problem kids, but hey, that problem kid just found something in the hallway that's really going to make somebody's day better because it was lost. Right there alone, like, it's promoting the fact that I did something for somebody else, not for myself. I did something for somebody else, and it makes me feel good. And because of that, yeah, I got something out of it. But the thing you're getting out of it, you're not getting like money. You're getting a lunch with your principal. Like, you're getting a phone call.
The kids are behaving badly.
Hey, now,
No.
my kids love me.
No, that's good.
You're getting a phone call home. And a lot of these kids, like, you're gonna get me into this. We started a survey. The top answers, what kind of reward would you want? Majority of the kids said a phone call home or an email home. A positive phone call or an email. That's all they want. That's
Okay.
all they want. And they wanted lunch with the principal. So
There you go.
meh.
So we'll come back to PBIS in the summer and throughout the year next year. So that'll be certainly a fun conversation. As certainly I will become more educated on it, and I like that climate and culture piece. So
Yeah, man. I'm excited for that. That's gonna be my big push for the year, so I can't wait.
there you go. All right, real quick before we get out of here, little podcast recommendation.
Woo!
So I do need to update that little
Yeah,
animation there.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I do have a recommendation, and this is fresh today. So on a daily basis, I listen to Up First from NPR, but typically on the weekends, they throw something else down the feed. And the episode they put on their Up First feed today is from the acclaimed podcast School Colors,
Ooh.
which is a mini-series, sub-series in the Code Switch podcast feed from NPR.
Okay.
So The acclaim. I'll read this little description. The acclaimed podcast School Colors is back with a new season. In their quest to understand how race, class, and power shape American cities and schools, hosts Max Friedman and Mark Winston Griffith head to Queens, New York, and dive into a fierce debate over a quote-unquote diversity plan. The fight that ensues exposes hidden inequities and invisible dividing lines in one of the most diverse places in the world. And I'm throwing this in here, if you did not know, Queens, New York is the most diverse place on the planet. You can listen to the rest of, so you can get the preview, and if you listen up first, listen to today's. But if you want to get the rest of the series, you're going to want to subscribe to the Code Switch podcast and look for their series on School Colors.
Well done. Well done.
So I enjoyed that today, and I went over to Code Switch and subscribed, and I've got the other available episodes, and there's a season 1, which is, again, along the same lines, but in a different place. So certainly that's out there and available for you.
There you go. Check that out, people.
We call that Podcast PD.
That's it. There's the PD.
There you go. You got one, AJ, or is it just me today?
I haven't really been listening to a lot of podcasts, so I'll give you the one that I listened to today that I'm actually going to listen to again. I don't know if I mentioned this podcast before, but it's called Everybody Pulls the Tarp, and the host is Andrew Moses. And today I was listening to his latest episode with Scott Miller on how to be a better leader. And Scott Miller really is part of the Franklin Covey Institute, the firm, Franklin Covey. I really enjoyed the episode. I'll give you the synopsis if you want. I'll read it word for word. So it says, Andrew talks with best-selling author of leadership... words. Again, these words. This whole podcast is about words. Andrew talks with best-selling author and leadership expert Scott Miller. Scott has spent his last 26 years working at world-renowned leadership development firm Franklin Covey. Scott was demoted from his first leadership role after just 3 weeks in the job. You'll hear what happened and everything Scott had learned since to become one of the world's most sought-after minds on leadership and career development. Andrew and Scott explore the power of thinking long-term in a short-term world, how to delegate responsibility, ways to effectively communicate feedback, and more. And I thought this was great because really the feedback piece on how to share feedback and how to receive feedback was a major point for me. So again, I'm listening to it for the second time because some of the ideas there, I was just kind of like folding laundry and I was like, oh, I need to go back and take some notes on that one. So again, that's episode from Everybody Pulls the Tarp with Scott Miller, How to Be a Better Leader.
Nice. Both of these recommendations will be in the show notes. If you go over, when this is a podcast, to podcastpd.com/120, you will find that there.
You know what podcast I'm going to get down with real quick?
Go ahead.
Batman Unburied.
Oh,
get down with that.
Baby.
Is it good? Have you gotten into it yet?
I did start the first episode.
Okay. If you're wondering, why are we talking about Batman Unburied? Because Batman, this podcast, dethroned. That's right. A DC Comics podcast dethroned the king of podcasts, Joe Rogan. Taste it. Thank you, Batman. I mean, yes. I rock Superman, but that's all right.
That's nice. Oh, I like that sticker.
You like that?
Yeah, get me one of those.
Amazon.
So as we start to wrap up this episode, I want to thank you for listening and joining us live. If you joined us live, if you're listening on the podcast side, thank you for taking Podcast PD with you for your anytime, anywhere professional development. We want to hear from you, so give us your thoughts and feedback. You can email us feedback@podcastpd.com, or you can send us a voice message or some other type of correspondence. Go to podcastpd.com/feedback. And we will be back not on Memorial Day weekend.
Right. No love show.
But we will be back live on Sunday, June 5th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and we are going to be talking with... Oh, hello?
Yep, you're there. I got you.
All right. Okay, cool. Well, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened there either. Who are we talking with?
We are going to be talking with authors Christopher Bugaj, Karen Janowski, Mike Murata, who we know, and Beth Poss. They are the authors of, as I show it here to the camera, Inclusive Learning 365 EdTech strategies for every day of the year. They are going to join us, and we're going to talk about inclusive learning strategies and ways you can amp that up with education technology, which I will then probably release also in the House of Ed Tech feed during the summer.
Boom.
We call that 2 pod birds with 1 pod stone.
I like that. I like that. Well done.
Yeah, I just made that up. So
It's okay. Lost you again.
what the hell's going on here?
No,
Spread
you're
the
back.
word.
You're back.
I'm back.
You're
I
okay.
don't know what's going on.
Yeah. You talked about a book. You mentioned that you were reading a book and everything's going downhill.
End the show. Goodbye, everybody. See ya.
See ya.
All right, we're still here. People can still see us. Thank you to everybody who came out and watched us live. Randall Black, don't know if you're still here, but thanks for checking in. Dave Frangiosa, thank you for making fun of me. Stephanie Scrocky, thank you for your support. Mel A, good to see you. Sort of. Meaning like we can't see you.
We can't see you. We see your name.
And we started talking PBIS, and Tim Cavey came out of the woodwork.
He just appeared.
Probably eating dinner in front of his big screen TV on the...
Are we still on the big screen, Tim? If you're there, I
Tim,
don't know if we're still on the big screen.
We're still on the big screen.
Of course we are. Of course. He's got his alarm set for podcast.
What else is he going to put on? I don't think there's any Canadian hockey teams in the playoffs.
Oh, that's messed up. I think there might be.
No.
I don't know.
All I know is I got to check in on my Rangers and see that they're not losing to Pittsburgh. But
No,
anyway.
I'll check that for you.
Thanks for checking in, everybody. And AJ are going to talk to each other now.
That's what we do. Peace.